Hi there, and welcome to Lessons from the Carp Lodge, the original video series demonstrating how to catch carp on the fly. Often, in the early season, I'm fishing close to my targets, pitching, plopping, and dropping the fly. As a result of doing a lot of plopping, as I transition in the season to doing some casting at distance, what I find is that fairly often I have tailing loops and my casting looks just plain sloppy. As I transition, in terms of strategy, I need to remind myself to do three things. First of all, I need to be sure and straighten out my back cast. And then, as I make the forward cast for the delivery, don't rush it and don't give any extra room. Straighten out the back cast, make a smooth forward cast to deliver the line, and as I finish, drive my hand straight through, point my thumb at the target. If I do those things, I have a way better chance of straightening out the line, getting the fly on the carp's dinner plate or past it, and then stripping it on the dinner plate. There are two carp in this next sequence, and even though I know that, I'm not going to catch every carp that I see. I do believe that it is my tailing loops, my bad casting, that puts these carp on alert and sends them on their way. Oh, for criminy sakes. Stinking up the whole lake with my casting. That one was okay. It's right there. Come on, find it. Find it. Come on, there you go, find it. How do you know when to set the hook? How do you know when a fish has picked up your fly? Well, if I'm fishing at close quarters and I just hold the fly out and drop it in front of the carp, I can see the fly, I can see the fish, I see the fish's mouth. You can see him open his mouth and pick up the fly. Okay, that's easy. But what about when you make a cast at some distance and you no longer can see the fly? You can have a pretty good idea where it is, but you can't see the fly anymore for sure. How do you know when to set the hook? What does a carp look like when he takes the fly? A good question to ask before that is, what does a carp look like when he takes the real thing? When he eats a real bug, what does he look like? My good friend Keith describes some carp as tailing violently. And by that he means a fish that is totally engrossed in eating. And when they are, to a certain extent, they're oblivious to everything else that's going on around them. In this next segment, we see a fish that is, as Keith says, tailing violently. I begin by false casting from offline to help keep this fish calm and help keep him focused on his business. When I make the first delivery, it's way off, it's way short, it's so far off, I don't think I'm going to disturb the fish by just picking up the line and sending it out again the rest of the way. The second cast is pretty good, it's where it needs to be. The fish does not pick up the fly. As I'm delivering the third cast, you're going to see the fish make a decisive turn and pick up a real bug. It might look like the fly and line are disturbing him, so I'm going to play it in slow motion for the first part. Play it in slow motion so you can see what he has done is make a turn to eat something. He hasn't been disturbed by the fly and the line, and really good evidence of that is shortly after he makes that turn to eat the real bug, a few seconds go by and he picks up the chocolate cherry. That fish, I get him to the net eventually. That fish is over 10 pounds and I don't feel that take. I see it. And that's what's just so engaging. It's what's just so exciting about carp fishing, is that it's so visual. It is important to learn to recognize what does that move look like, and that's a pretty clear and decisive one. Sometimes, often, it's more subtle than that. But when I see him make that move to where I believe my fly is, boy, I stick him right away. First we're going to see slow motion, then we'll see real time. In the previous segment, and in this next one, the two techniques I'm using to get the fly on the carp's dinner plate are casting and stripping. The fish in this next segment is one of the first takes that I was actually able to capture on video. And though the carp's behavior isn't visible in the video because of the wind, while I'm fishing, I can see him do basically what the fish in the previous segment did. He makes a turn, he moves forward, and I know that he's picked up the fly. I detect it visually before I actually feel it. You'll see the line just start to straighten on the water just before I set the hook. You'll hear me say during the time that I'm playing the fish that this fish pounded the fly. He pounded the fly for a carp, and by that I mean he moved decisively and I could see it well. I don't mean he hammered the fly and took off. He didn't take off till I set the hook. He didn't even know he'd picked up a fake till I set the hook. The fish in this segment is a little funny to me because after I set the hook, it's as if he comes over, swims over, comes to look and see what's going on. He comes up to the surface, he lays there, it's like he's looking at me and going, what is this? Who are you? You are ugly. You're ugly. I am a mere carp, and that makes me cool. And I am out of here. I am so out of here. Let's watch another take at distance using casting and stripping as our techniques. Okay, I got a lot of fish today so far. I don't have anything on video. I don't know how this is going to work. The last 3 takes have just been incredible. I wish I had them on video. The fish bolted after I set the hook on them. Come on, pick it up. Pick it up. Yes! honest, you think carps are slugs and they just come right in. Okay, I got my line back. That was a beautiful take. He didn't bolt or jump out of the water like the last few, but that was a great take. Saw him make the move and knew he was there. It's a 7-weight rod, St. Croix, Legend Elite, Lansing Velocity, Hard Alex Reel. Got about a 7-foot leader, 7.5, 1X fluorocarbon. And right now I took off Black Betty. I've got chocolate cherry carp bully on here. He pounded it. There was no doubt. Come on, my arms are getting tired. You gotta get tired. Well, that's the end of episode 3. In this episode, we saw casting and stripping to get the fly on the carp's dinner plate. As I transitioned out of the close quarter early season fishing, it's important to remember to straighten out my back cast, have a smooth, consistent forward cast, and point my thumb towards the target. We saw a carp make an assertive move to pick up a real bug, and then do the same thing to pick up the chocolate cherry. When I see a carp make a sudden move forward or to either side, even if it's just a short, subtle move, that's the signal to set the hook. Check my blog for news of future episodes. Thanks for watching.